In the early summer of 1845, two Royal Navy bomb vessels, HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, set sail from Greenhithe, England, under the command of Sir John Franklin. This was to be the British Admiralty's latest attempt to chart and navigate the elusive Northwest Passage, a route which, if discovered, would provide a direct and commercially viable sea path from the Atlantic to the Pacific. Laden with provisions that could last up to 7 years, the ships were also equipped with the latest in maritime technology, including steam engines and reinforced hulls for tackling the harsh Arctic ice. In total, the two vessels carried 134 men, all of whom were about to embark on a journey from which they would never return. The first year of the expedition saw the ships successfully navigate Baffin Bay and Lancaster Sound, making it further west than any previous attempts. However, as they advanced deeper into the icy wilderness, the ships became trapped in the ice near King William Island, stranding the crew in a frozen wasteland, with no means of escape. Despite the dire circumstances, the crew seemed to have managed to survive the first 2 winters. A message found later, dated April 1848, detailed that the expedition had wintered off King William Island in 1845, 46, and 1846, 47. The note mentioned that Franklin had died in June 1847, but the rest of the crew were reported to be in good health and spirits, and still had enough provisions. However, it is beyond this point that the fate of the Franklin expedition becomes shrouded in mystery. The same note contained a chilling postscript, added a year later, revealing that the remaining crew had abandoned the icebound ships and were attempting to journey southwards in a desperate bid to reach mainland Canada. These haggard, frost-bitten men set off on foot, pulling behind them their lifeboats laden with what few supplies they could salvage. This last-ditch effort for survival took them across the unforgiving icy tundra, with the specter of starvation nipping at their heels. When no more news came from the Franklin expedition, a series of rescue missions were launched, first by the Admiralty, then by Franklin's wife, Lady Jane Franklin, and later by American adventurers. These searches not only failed to locate the missing men, but also lost their own crew members to the merciless Arctic. What followed in the subsequent years, and indeed centuries, was a slow, painstaking process of piecing together the fragments of evidence left behind on the ice. A scattering of human remains, abandoned equipment, and Inuit oral histories offered haunting glimpses into the crew's tragic fate, but did little to solve the overarching mystery. To this day, the disappearance of Franklin's expedition remains one of the most baffling maritime mysteries. Theories abound, from lead poisoning caused by the expedition's canned food, to deadly encounters with the local Inuit, to the more supernatural, like the Arctic's mythical creatures. Yet, amongst the theories and speculation, one fact remains undisputed. The Franklin expedition was swallowed by the Arctic, leaving behind an enigma that continues to echo through the centuries. To comprehend the enormity of their tragic fate, we must not only trace the footsteps of the ill-fated explorers, but understand the era which propelled them into the Arctic wilderness. This was the time of the British Empire's ascendance, a period ingrained with an unquenchable thirst for exploration and a profound underestimation of the harsh Arctic environment. In the mid-19th century, Britain was the world's leading naval power, commanding a quarter of the Earth's landmass and a third of its population. Driven by a sense of imperial duty, scientific curiosity, and the promise of untold glory, the British Empire led a worldwide charge into uncharted territories. Among these territories, the Arctic stood as the final frontier, a tantalizing blank space on the map, and a challenge to Britain's domination of the world's waters. The desire to chart the Northwest Passage, a potential maritime shortcut across the top of North America, became an obsession, luring numerous explorers into the Arctic's icy grasp. For the British Empire, this was more than just strategic trade advantage. It was a matter of national pride, a chance to assert their supremacy over the unyielding Arctic. The Franklin expedition was the latest in a series of attempts to conquer this frozen wasteland. However, with this insatiable drive for exploration came a profound misunderstanding of the brutal Arctic environment. The Arctic, with its harsh weather conditions, impenetrable ice, and months of darkness, was unlike any landscape the British had conquered before. Moreover, the Empire's exploration ethos was rooted in its colonial experiences in the tropics. They had little understanding of the survival skills needed to endure the Arctic. Their traditional strategies, including hunting and gathering, were ill-suited to the barren Arctic. The British explorers were dependent on the resources they could bring with them, primarily the tinned food that was a novelty of their time. The Arctic's bleak and desolate landscape, bereft of the necessary sustenance, was nothing like the fertile colonies they were accustomed to. Moreover, the local Inuit population, who had survived in these conditions for centuries, were largely ignored or dismissed. The indigenous knowledge, which could have provided valuable insights into surviving the Arctic conditions, was overlooked due to the prevailing attitudes of racial superiority and cultural arrogance. This lack of preparedness, combined with an almost naive confidence in their own abilities, led to the Franklin expedition's catastrophic end. The expedition was trapped in the Arctic's icy grip, with their ships frozen in place and provisions dwindling. The harsh reality of the Arctic quickly set in, and the men found themselves in a fight for survival against a foe they had severely underestimated. In the tragic story of the Franklin expedition, we see the stark contrast between the Empire's ambitious vision and the brutal reality of the Arctic wilderness. The echoes in the ice serve as a chilling reminder of the hubris of an era when the world seemed there for the taking, a poignant testament to the perilous intersection of ambition and underestimation. Following the chilling fate of the Franklin expedition, the narrative doesn't end, but rather opens up to a new chapter. A relentless quest engulfed the world, a quest to uncover the truth of what happened to these brave men on their ill-fated journey. Historians, archaeologists, and curious explorers have since dedicated their lives to unraveling this enigma, and their collective efforts have painted a grim tableau of hope, desperation, and ultimately, despair. The first search expeditions, driven by the hope of finding the lost souls, were launched as early as 1848, just 2 years after the departure of the Franklin crew. However, they returned empty-handed, the Arctic wilderness yielding no clues. Over the years, more than 30 expeditions made their way to the Arctic, fueled by a mixture of hope, curiosity, and increasing desperation. The breakthrough came in 1859, when a note was discovered on King William Island. Dated April 1848, it revealed that the ships had been abandoned and 24 men, including Franklin himself, had died. The surviving crew members, the note said, were preparing to make a desperate journey south towards mainland Canada. Around the same time, first-hand accounts began to emerge from the Inuit peoples. They reported sightings of white men who were starving and weak, wandering on the ice. These oral histories, passed down through generations, tell of encounters with the last survivors of the Franklin expedition. The Inuit shared tales of strange men who didn't understand how to survive in the Arctic, men who had resorted to unthinkable acts in their fight for survival. In the decades and centuries to follow, more tangible evidence began to surface. The wrecks of both ships, the HMS Erebus and the HMS Terror, were eventually discovered in 2014 and 2016, respectively. These underwater tombs, perfectly preserved in the icy waters, offered an eerie glimpse into the doomed expedition. Personal items, navigational tools, and even cans of food were found, a silent testament to the men who dared to venture into the unknown. Perhaps the most disturbing evidence came in the form of human remains found on King William Island. Examination of the bones by forensic anthropologists showed signs of cut marks, indicative of cannibalism. This grisly revelation, although shocking, offered a crucial insight into the desperate measures the men might have taken in their fight for survival. The story of Franklin's lost expedition as pieced together by the tireless efforts of explorers, scholars, and the Inuit oral histories, has only deepened the mystery. The echoes in the ice continue to reverberate, a chilling reminder of the consequences of ambition unchecked by respect for nature's might. The tale, as we know it now, is not just of a failed expedition, but also of the relentless human spirit, dogged determination, and the dire costs of cultural arrogance. The Franklin mystery, shrouded in the Arctic ice, is a testament to the high stakes of exploration and the tragic cost of human life. The echoes of this ill-fated expedition resonate through time, a chilling reminder of a story that the world will never forget. The impact of these revelations may not be immediately obvious, but they hold profound significance for our understanding of past and present human endeavors. The Franklin expedition, once hailed as a triumph of British colonial ambition, has been recast as a tale of hubris and resistance against unforgiving elements, with a haunting question mark lingering over its tragic end. It serves as a powerful reminder of the perils of exploration, particularly when such pursuits are driven by an overconfident belief in one's invincibility and a disregard for the knowledge and wisdom of indigenous peoples. The evidence of cannibalism among Franklin's men, for instance, underscores the dire desperation they faced, but it also speaks volumes about the inadequacy of their preparations for the harsh Arctic environment. Their reliance on European food and technology, instead of adapting to local resources and indigenous survival methods, proved a fatal mistake. This scenario is indicative of colonial attitudes that viewed native customs as inferior, failing to recognize and learn from their time-tested solutions for survival in extreme climates. The devastating end met by the Franklin expedition has thus come to symbolize the dangerous consequences of such arrogance. The lost lives and the grim discoveries from the wreckage serve as a stark warning against the unbridled pursuit of glory and progress without a deep respect and understanding for nature and its forces. It reminds us that exploration is not just about conquering new territories, but also about humbly learning from the environment and the people who have been living in harmony with it for generations. On the other hand, the role played by the Inuit oral histories in uncovering the fate of the Franklin expedition underscores the power and validity of indigenous knowledge. The Inuit people had encountered the desperate survivors, observed their struggles, and bore witness to their demise. Their accounts, passed down through generations, proved to be a valuable resource in piecing together the expedition's tragic narrative. Yet, for decades, these oral histories were dismissed or overlooked by mainstream historians and explorers, another symptom of the dismissive attitudes towards indigenous knowledge systems. By bringing to light the ignored testimonies of the Inuit and the misguided decisions of the Franklin expedition, this documentary underscores the importance of rejecting the colonial mindset that devalues indigenous wisdom. It emphasizes the need for a more respectful, inclusive approach to exploration and knowledge gathering, one that not only celebrates diverse cultural narratives, but also learns from them. This is the enduring legacy of Franklin's lost expedition. As we delve deeper into the echoes in the ice, we are reminded of the perils of hubris and the immeasurable value of indigenous knowledge. We are urged to remember and learn from this complex historical event, not just as a tragic tale of exploration gone awry, but as a call for humility, respect, and understanding in our interaction with nature and different cultures. The echoes of Franklin's expedition will continue to reverberate, serving as a powerful lesson for future explorations and a testament to the human capacity for bravery, resilience, and adaptability in the face of extreme adversities. As the echoes of Franklin's lost expedition continue to resound, recent scientific advancements promise to unravel further layers of this enigma. Advancements in archaeology and climate research have propelled us into an era where we can glean insights from the past in ways that were previously unimaginable. Archaeologists, equipped with sophisticated imaging technologies, are now able to scan the icy terrains of the Arctic in their quest for clues about the fate of Franklin's crew. Ground-penetrating radar and drone-enabled aerial surveys are helping researchers uncover artifacts and landmarks that speak volumes about the harrowing journey the expedition members undertook. These modern tools don't just seek to reveal, they aim to reconstruct the past, piece by piece, painting a detailed picture of the expedition's final days. In climate research, the study of ice cores, long cylinders drilled from the ice caps, has offered scientists a new, powerful tool. These ice cores contain tiny bubbles of ancient air, effectively frozen in time. By analyzing the composition of this air, researchers can infer details about the climate when Franklin and his crew were stranded, potentially shedding light on the extreme conditions they faced. Meanwhile, the discipline of paleoclimatology, the study of past climates, allows us to understand the long-term climate patterns in the Arctic. This could provide insights into how the rapidly changing environment could have influenced the crew's survival strategies and their ultimate demise. The incorporation of DNA analysis in archaeological studies has also opened up new vistas in our understanding of the Franklin expedition. DNA analysis of the skeletal remains of crew members discovered in the 1980s and 1990s has already provided information about their health and diet. In the future, it might even enable researchers to piece together a more detailed narrative of their final days, including how they interacted with the Inuit communities and the local fauna. In a promising development, the recent discovery of the two shipwrecks, the HMS Erebus in 2014 and the AMS Terror in 2016, under the Arctic waters has breathed fresh life into the investigation. The remarkably well-preserved vessels offer a treasure trove of clues. Future scientific examination of these vessels, carried out with utmost respect for their historical significance, might yield answers to some questions that have eluded us for over a century. In conclusion, as we stand on the cusp of these fascinating scientific breakthroughs, the echoes in the ice seem to be getting louder. They are telling us that the story of Franklin's lost expedition is far from over. The Arctic ice, a silent witness to this tragic saga, may yet yield secrets that could change our understanding of this historical event. As we delve deeper, we are left with a sense of anticipation, a sense of respect for the past, and a renewed commitment to learn from it. We leave you with the echoes in the ice, still resonating, still teaching, and promising to reveal more of its secrets in the years to come.